On your Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors, it's been a thrilling first month of Toronto Raptors basketball, and what better way to honor it than to draft all the things that have happened in the first month of Toronto Raptors basketball.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the number one sports podcast network in the land. It is Wednesday, November the 26th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, which is popping off every day with joy regarding your local basketball team. Great place to come hang out. Be part of our listener community. 100% free to join as always. Again, that link in the description of the podcast. Always. And if it doesn't work, DM me. I'll send it to you. No problem. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And we're off and running here on your Wednesday edition of the show, where we're playing a stupid little game. And it's a commonly used stupid little game in the world of NBA podcasting. We're doing a draft. It's been 1 month of Toronto Raptors hoops. They're 13-5. They're second in the Eastern Conference. It's been an absolute treat to watch this team do its thing night in, night out. And just over the course of a month, we already have more good things to enjoy, I'd argue, than we had over the last 2 seasons combined. And so what better way to celebrate as we get ready for the final game of the NBA Cup round robin tonight? The Raptors moving on to the quarterfinals one way or another. Still another chance to pad that point differential, baby. Just go wax the Pacers. Make it a plus 100 differential. Whatever. Here to draft the things that have happened in the first month of Toronto Raptors basketball is a dear friend of the show. It's Zulfi Sheikh from Raptors Republic and Sportsnet. Zulfi, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sean. I'm feeling really good about this team, as I'm sure a lot of people are. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to make my return and talk some hoops with you.
Hell yeah, man. And also for those who are watching or for those who are listening and not seeing on the screen, Zulfi, of course, a noted Cup respecter, which we very much appreciate in these parts as a pro Cup podcast. All right. Very simple. We are each going to make 5 picks. We're going to run through things that have happened to the Toronto Raptors to start this season, and it's as wide and sweeping as possible. It could be as small as a single play. It could be as big as a season-long trend for your Toronto Raptors, an individual player's performance, whatever we want. We're just going off things that have happened so far this year. 5 picks each, and to decide who's going to pick first, I have my trusty Locked On hockey puck here. On the front, it says Locked On. That's heads. On the back, it's blank. That's tails. I will have you called in the air, Zulfi, and you will get to choose whether you pick first or second. We're not doing a snake draft. It's just 1, 1, 1, 1 down the line. Call it in the air.
Heads.
It is heads. You have, if you want, the first pick, or you can defer to me, whatever you choose. Are you on the clock? Are you going first?
Yeah, sure. You know what? I'll go
perfect.
first. Why not, right?
All right, line it up. What's your first pick?
All right, my first pick, I wanted to try to come up with some stuff that maybe wasn't as common because there's been so much talk about positives with the Raptors already, so I'm sure some of this stuff might come up again. So something I did want to make sure we got to was, I feel like Darko Rajakovic is coaching like a Coach of the Year candidate. I wanted to give him his flowers. That is one of my first things that I've noticed in terms of a trend throughout the season. And what I've loved the most is we all knew what Darko Rajakovic's MO was coming to this team, right? He's a development guy. Players love him. We've obviously seen why, because there's so much trust with them. He lets them go through their low points. We saw it with Emmanuel quickly earlier this season with his shooting slump. We saw it a bit with Jacoby Walter and Rakovic still going with him for his defensive acumen, and we're seeing the shot come back around. But it's also been the in-game adjustment. It's been the basketball of it all as well, which is important a lot more for a team that's winning games and has expectations versus the last couple of seasons when it was just data collection and development and stuff like that. But he's been steadfast in his philosophies. This team still plays that 0.5 offensive style. They still pressure the ball defensively, but they're adjusting within that. They have gotten a bit slower offensively. I wrote about that recently, and this idea that like they still play a ton of transition frequency. They're still a bottom 5 team in terms of half court offense, but within that, they've gotten better at playing in the half court And it's not just as simple as like, hey, we have Brandon Ingram. He's awesome. Let's give him the ball, which it is part of it. But Rakovic is still getting his guys to move around Brandon. And then defensively, we saw how the defensive pressure wasn't looking all that great in the early parts of the season. And he scaled that back a little bit. And then if you just look at those rotations within it, he's pulling all the right levers right now. The Brandon Ingram plus bench lineup looks great. He's going more to the Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Shead double point guard stuff as well. And it's just the decisions he's made within it have just been awesome this season. I think he deserves a ton of credit for that.
I love this. It was on my board as one of the picks. He's done a fantastic job. And yeah, I think it's been a pretty holistically good job as well, from the big picture stuff of just eliciting buy-in from a bunch of dudes who there was no guarantee this was all going to work. This was the big hang up, for me when they originally made the Brandon Ingram trade, which I talked myself into in a matter of a few days. But when it first happened, I was just like, this ain't going to work. These guys don't fit. They're just going to overlap with one another. But if you have a coach who can kind of get everyone to believe, and it was interesting. I listened this morning to the Zach Lowe, Stan Van Gundy podcast that just dropped, and Stan Van Gundy was talking about just sort of the feedback loop of when a team starts to win games, the buy-in only becomes stronger because everyone realizes, oh, hey, this is great. We love doing this thing. I think they're really in that mode right now. I thought that was a great point by Stan and Zach on that show. And I think that speaks to Darko. And look, I always felt as though this was going to be a thing he would succeed with based on his first couple years with the team. I mean, yeah, the team was a drag to watch the last couple years, and there was not a whole lot good happening, but it never felt like that bled into the locker room or the way that the players were interacting with one another. It always felt like everyone was on the same page. Everyone knew, hey, we're eating our vegetables now. Things are going to get better. And I think now you have this sort of combination of the big picture approach that Darko has, where I think he's got a great handle on how to navigate 82 games of basketball, how to get the best out of individual guys, put them in spots to succeed, elicit that buy-in. And then you couple that with now he's been given license to actually try to win the games. You're seeing it with his baseline and sideline out of bounds plays. They're one of the best teams in the league at those. Out of timeouts, they're fantastic. And to your point, it's not just one style, right? They're winning different styles of games. They are playing with some variability. They can have a game where Brandon Ingram is the go-to dude down the stretch, or they can have a game where everyone scores 21 points and everyone's very happy about it. It's pretty awesome to see. And I think the defensive jump as well since the start of the year has to be credited a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of the players executing things on the floor, but clearly there have been some changes in how they've done things. And now we're looking at almost a calendar year, Zulfi, of the Toronto Raptors being a damn good defense. Back part of last year, now the start of this year. Darko is really good at his job, as it turns out. Will he win it? Eric Spoelstra, I think, is going to really make a push for it, but I think he's certainly going to be in the conversation, which is pretty awesome. My first pick, man, this is a tough one. You got a really good one off the board to start. I am going to go with, I'm just going to say Brandon Ingram's dunk on Ryan Kalkbrenner. I've seen the highlight 1,000 times already. I watch it in full every single time it comes across my many feeds that I scroll endlessly because my brain is goo. It's fantastic. I love Brandon Ingram dunking. I love his explosiveness. And I think that dunk is emblematic of this sort of new version of Ingram we've seen, where he's looking more explosive. He's looking like he's more comfortable in his own body than he was at the start of the year. And look, knock on all of the wood around you that this continues, but he's been fantastic. And that dunk was a damn thrill. And the Raptors are kind of dunking as a team again, Zulfi. This was my big issue last year. I was just complaining all season long about how they don't dunk anymore. It's like a whole season of Vince Carter going through the motions as a whole team. But you had the Ochai Agbaji switch hand dunk in the last game. You've had a couple of real bangers from Brandon Ingram, and you've had Grady Dick is busting them out once in a while. I am very, very thrilled to see the Raptors become a team that likes to dunk again. And that Ingram dunk on its own is going to go down as one of the better dunks in game of anyone this season. I don't care about the NBA dunk score. I think it's nonsense, but it ranks highly. That's cool. That's going to mean it's going to be in the rotation of highlight clips for a long time. We love it. So yeah, Ingram's dunk on Kalkbrenner is my first pick. We will come back on the other side here, Zulfi, and get into the second round of the first month of Toronto Raptors basketball draft. It's really well named and smooth off the tongue. We'll get to that coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. And look, the Toronto Raptors winning basketball games. You might want to go and see them in person while the getting's good. And Game Time makes it super easy to get tickets to see your favorite teams, including your Toronto Raptors. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team and you're going through those other ticket apps. But Game Time gives you the advantage as the fan. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I have used Game Time countless times at this point, whether it's for baseball games in the summer, going to Jays games and getting the right seats, or seeing baseball games on the road. I've seen games in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Seattle, all purchasing tickets with Game Time. It's a lovely thing, and you can go and use their many wonderful features to help enhance your ticket buying experience as well. You get seat views. If you've never been to a venue before, you know exactly what you're going to see when you sit down. You won't get blocked behind some giant post or column as you might see in some older stadiums in baseball. It happens. Fenway Park, Wrigley Field, there are just random posts everywhere, but Game Time makes sure you're not going to be stuck behind one of those things. You get the upfront pricing as well. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Down the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Today's show is also brought to you by friends over at Doer, who simply make the most comfortable pants in the entire world. And I'm saying this as someone who wears Doer pants. I've been sent a pair by the lovely folks over at Doer. I have the black taper fleece-lined jeans, which are just a delight to me, someone who does a lot of yard work. I like to go on walks. I have a new baby. It's important to get out the house, walk and stuff like that. And there's nothing better than walking in comfort. Not only are they warm because they have the fleece lining, but they are temperature controlled because they have Cool Max, which means I'm not going to get too warm in them. It just keeps your body temperature where it should be, wicks moisture, all that good stuff. They also have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. So say I'm out doing yard work. There are so many leaves in my yard right now that still need cleaning. I can throw on those jeans, go outside, have the proper mobility to do the yard work while also looking very good for all of the birds that look in the backyard and are just looking at me from the top of the tree. Or my wife, I guess, looks and sees, hey, nice pants, Sean. It's all great. Either way, you can go to 44 Ossington Avenue in Toronto and buy yourself some Doer jeans in person at their new store. They make the most comfortable pants without sacrificing style, and you can go get yourself a pair or get one as an amazing gift for someone in your life. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONTORONTO in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out at doer.ca/LockedOnToronto for 15% off. That's DUER.ca/LockedOnToronto. Go check them out. Get some pants. Back at it here with Zulfi Sheikh of Raptors Republic and Sportsnet as we continue to draft the things that have happened in the first month of Toronto Raptors basketball. Zulfi, I will give you the floor. What you got for your second pick after having Darko's Coach of the Year candidacy off the top?
Yeah, with my second pick, and hopefully I'm not jinxing it, knock on wood, the Raptors have been healthy. Like, really.
Ooh, risky pick here. Risky stuff.
I know this could go south very fast, but I want to bring it up just because the last 2 seasons we've seen just how unhealthy they've been. They've been injury-riddled to a crazy extent. One of the top teams in man games lost. This year, they've been one of the healthiest teams to the point that the go-to starting 5 has played more minutes through 18 games than last year's go-to starting 5 had played all season. Like they've already surpassed that number, and that just shows how different the health aspect has been for this team. And obviously, that just does such a positive thing for the lineup when it comes to continuity. The Raptors starting 5 actually leads the NBA in minutes played together this season, which is something you just couldn't have fathomed last year. And and we've seen it across the league where like this idea of playing faster and height and pace has led to a increase in injuries. So the fact that the Raptors can continue to play how they have, and they've had the depth where they've been able to manage some of these injuries, and like it hasn't been the Raptors haven't gone through a little bit of their own, right? Like Jakob Poeltl was dealing with a back issue earlier. They managed that properly. Obviously, right now, RJ Barrett is dealing with a knee sprain, but even today it was announced that it's no structural damage to his knee. He's day-to-day for up to a week, most likely. And then even if you look at Colin Murray-Boyles, he had an MCL sprain and he was back in a couple of games. I think it's a testament to this training staff and how they take care of their players and how they really kind of leveled up this season. And so far, so good. And as a avid Raptors 905 enjoyer and a G League basketball watcher, it's also helped that team as well. Last year, a lot of their best players ended up playing for the Raptors, especially towards the end of the season, for a variety of reasons, as I'm sure we all know. But the Raptors 9-5 are also 6-0 right now to start the season. It's their franchise best start. So just health overall makes your team better in so many ways, as I'm sure we all know. So it's just nice to see these guys playing and us not having to talk about injuries and being like, oh, well, eventually when they get on the court together, we'll get to see what this crew looks like. We'll get to know their strengths and weaknesses. We don't have to worry about that because we're seeing it.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years of just like, what does this data mean? Probably nothing because they've just not had their dudes. There was actually, so I posted this on the Locked On Raptors Instagram account from the last game I was at, which was Friday against the Wizards. Before that game, Darko was kind of talking about how they're keeping guys fresh. And he kind of went on this whole thing about sleep. And look, it's not a novel concept to say that sleep is good for you, but he kind of alluded to the fact that maybe they are prioritizing as like a training staff the importance of sleep, maybe to like an outsized degree, which is interesting. You got to find any advantage you can. And if there's ways that they are helping guys sleep more, I don't know what they're doing, but like, maybe they have a whole, maybe there's a CBD sponsor they have going on or something like that. Who's to say? But one way or another, whatever they're doing seems to be working so far. Knock on wood, these things can change, but I like it. The health thing has been very nice. And look, it's helped them stake a 13-5 record and, pad some wins, bank some wins early on while the rest of the league kind of sorts through their health stuff. It's been a lovely thing. And, you got to be lucky to be good. And they're right now lucky on the health front. And that's fantastic. I like it. My second pick, Jamal Shead. All of it. Just Jamal Shead, full stop. His on-court play has been outstanding. He's talking about getting Canadian citizenship. He's forcing Jacoby Walter to sing the national anthem. He's just like clearly a huge part of the leadership and the sort of culture of the locker room. Everyone swears by the guy, and just like what a wonderful presence he is around the team. The playmaking, 32 assists to 3 turnovers over his last 4 games. Okay, sure, that's normal. The 3-point shot has been falling. The second units are outstanding. He's been an awesome addition to the 2-point guard lineup, which has just been destroying teams in the limited time they've played. More of that, please. Just Jamal Shead. What a story he's been. I know there's like a sort of burgeoning Mamu for 6th Man of the Year conversation going on. And ultimately, I don't know if either Jamal Shead or Mamu are going to have just the pure point totals to be in the mix for that award, because that's really an award where people sort by points and say, ooh, that guy has many points. He wins the award most of the time. But Jamal Shead, I think you can argue, has been the single most impactful bench player in the NBA. Mamu, probably the other guy in that conversation based on what they've done so far and how they've accentuated the strengths of other guys on the team. Just Jamal Shead, full stop, is my second pick. He's been incredible. I love watching him play, and he's an absolute thrill to just kind of have on the team, a wonderful presence to have in and around everything Toronto Raptors. So that's my second pick. Where are you going with your third pick?
Yeah, well, one of my points was just a bench mob in general, and Jamal was obviously a part of that. Also, talk about a return on investment on the 45th overall pick to be your backup point guard and best bench players.
Thank you, Jalen McDaniels.
What a trade. Him and Mamu, co-6 Man of the Years, if you could do that, just like the Clippers had a couple years ago. But with my third one, I will go with the third quarter scoring has been money for the Raptors.
All right,
that's something that I think has been a weakness more than anything for the Raptors in recent years. And if you look at a lot of really good teams in the NBA, I kind of view it as like it's the get right quarter, where coming out of halftime, you have a break, you can make some adjustments, and a lot of really good teams are able to put their foot on the gas and either make that comeback from a slow first half or kind of close out a game and overwhelm their opponents with this third quarter. And the Raptors are second in scoring in the third quarter behind the Denver Nuggets by only a couple percentage points. They're fourth in offensive rating, fifth in net rating. All the advanced numbers say they're really good in third quarters, which again just hasn't been the case the last couple of years. And we've seen it turn around games for them. Against Philadelphia, they were down 3 at halftime. They pumped them 44-26 in the third, and they won that game. Against Cleveland, it was a 3-point lead at halftime. They win 31-22 in that third quarter, and they win that game. These are good opponents, and you want to take advantage of them in those situations. And again, we're looking at a Raptors team this year where like there is so much different about this team from the past couple of years that it just stands out that much more. And it's just so much more fun to enjoy it and appreciate it. I still remember a couple of years ago when you had those Kevin Durant Warriors teams, the third quarter was their thing. Teams were afraid of the Warriors in the third quarter because they're like, okay, this is when they turn it on. This is when they flip the switch. We have to manage this. And a lot of teams couldn't because the Warriors were just that potent coming out of halftime. And I'm not saying the Raptors have been that, but they've been damn good coming out of half. It just speaks to the coaching staff. It speaks to the players kind of listening to the adjustments that need to be made, figuring out problems in real time. And I think those are all signs of a really, really good team.
I love it. That's a great pick. I think that plays into the Darko thing that you chose off the top as well, right? Of just like they're able to make those quick time adjustments and, say, hey, this hasn't been working or whatever, and just kind of recalibrate and get out to throat stomping. In the third quarter, it's been a ton of fun. My third pick, I'm juggling a few things here, but I think I'm just going to go with something that maybe should have by rights been the number one pick, just in terms of like the level of surprise. I'm going with the half-court offense and just how damn good it's been. They are the number 2 half-court offense in the NBA behind only literally the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic having maybe the best season of his entire career, which is saying something. Unbelievable. And like such an absolute game changer for how this team gets to play basketball, right? This is not a team that has to live on gimmickry anymore, right? This isn't a team that has to live on the offensive glass just to carve out enough points to stay alive, to win the possession battle enough. You couple the just lethal first shot efficiency in the half court with the sort of variable attack they have, their way that they can kind of turn an advantage on one side of the floor into easy looks the other side of the floor. It's just been so fun to watch. And it's, again, variability. Like they can do it a bunch of different ways. The possession can start in the hands of really any guy from any spot on the floor, and they can turn it into something good. It's been great. And that has, combined with their ball protection. They're just not turning the ball over. They're forcing steals. They're running off misses. Like they're just gaming the math so effectively, but they're able to do so much of that stuff because the offense is so good that they don't have to do all this other stuff to make up for the offense being terrible like they have over the last, 5 years, like, dating back to the Nurse years as well. They couldn't scrape things out in the half court. And so, okay, we're the team that offensive rebounds and punch shooting so we can crash the glass and have all these defenders on the floor, but we're kind of bogged down in the half court. No, they're really good in the half court. And that has just led to all sorts of things that just are so much easier and more normal for this team. So I'm going the half court offense as my third pick. And I don't know, Zulfi, like I keep on looking at the schedule and the defenses they played and thinking, okay, like there's no way it's going to hold up like this, and maybe it doesn't hold up as the number 2 half court offense all season long, but I don't think you can do this by accident over 18 games. It's more than 20% of the schedule. How sustainable do you think this half court production is?
I'm fairly confident that they can sustain it to a pretty high level because of the way they're going about it. They're much more patient in the half court offense. And again, it's because I don't want to oversimplify by saying it's just because they added Brandon Ingram, but they've added a guy who excels in being patient on offense, especially against set defenses. If you look at that 7 seconds or less window in the shot clock, Brandon Ingram is one of the most effective and most efficient players in the NBA this season. And the Raptors lean on that heavy. You saw it against the Charlotte Hornet late in that game when he had that post up around the baseline. He got doubled. He passed it off to RJ Barrett for the game-winning basket or game-sealing basket. It's not just his scoring. He is a playmaker in those late-game situations or late clock situations, especially in the half-court setting. So the patience that they've shown and their willingness to be comfortable slowing it down, which they just didn't have last season, I think just for me is an indicator that they are going to be able to keep this up against different type of defenses this season.
Yeah, it feels like it's not all smoke and mirrors by any means. It's, I think the defense maybe has more of a shot of falling off at this point just because of the shooting variance thing. But even then, like, you can't be the 4th best defense in the NBA as they are on cleaning the glass through this stretch of the season without having something going right and without doing things to sort of point yourself in that direction. It's really cool, man. We'll come back on the side here, Zulfi. We got 2 more picks to go apiece to wrap things up here in the first month of Toronto Raptors Hoops Draft. We'll do that in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by Drip Drop. Look, being hydrated, it's important. As an adult, sometimes it's very easy to forget the basic thing that drinking water is important. You got lots of things on the go. I know for me, I always intend when I wake up every morning, I'm going to be hydrated today. I'm going to be my best self. I'm going to be good. I'm going to drink my fluids. And then, the baby needs something. And then I got to do a podcast and talk for half an hour. And all this stuff combines together into, oh no, it's 2 p.m. and I haven't had a drop of water yet. But Drip Drop makes it so it's that much easier to be at full power and stay hydrated. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps you running at full power, no matter what your day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sport drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, including science-backed formulas trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard, and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Go check it out. Back at it here with Zulfi Sheikh, closing out our draft of the best things to happen in Toronto Raptors hoops over the first month and 4 days or whatever it's been. It's not exactly 1 month. Deal with it. Zulfi, you're up next. You're 4th on the clock here. What you got with your 4th pick?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we made it this far without mentioning this guy's name, but Scottie Barnes is doing everything for the Toronto Raptors, and he has been incredible in terms of toggling on both sides of the floor. And I think, honestly, he's getting a ton of credit, but maybe not enough in terms of what he's been willing to adjust his game offensively. We talked about it last season about the shot diet and the mid-range frequency and how that was really up, and the Raptors said it was a lot about experimenting and him figuring out what he needed. And then they were like, okay, when expectation comes, he'll adjust and he'll kind of settle in a bit. And then in the preseason, people start freaking out because Scottie Barnes was still taking a ton of mid-range shots. He was settling into a lot of jumpers that maybe we didn't necessarily want to see him taking. But then when the actual game started counting, we just saw the Scottie Barnes that we were all hoping to see, right? His rim frequency and efficiency is way up. His three-point percentage is back to normal from a really down season last year. And he is willing to play within the flow of the offense to get other guys going. Again, we keep talking about Brandon Ingram and how he's willing to take the tough shots. Well, that opens a lot of easier shots for Scottie Barnes, and he's taking them. And he's being a connective passer within all of that. He's just been this conduit for this team where it's what you want to see from your 1A guy, right? Especially a 1A guy who's not necessarily a ball handler, who's going to hit a step back three. He's a guy who's going to fill in all the gaps that you need offensively. He's not going to give you 25 to 30 points every night, but he can when you need him to. But he can also get other guys going with his passing, with his defense, and just plugging in all those holes. And I kind of want to describe it as like he's a rising tide that's lifting all boats for this Raptors team. Yep. And I think Scottie Barnes deserves a ton of credit for that.
Yeah, his two-way impact was very much on my board as well. He's been incredible. And with my 4th pick, I am going to go, you went macro Scottie Barnes. I'm going to go micro and pick a specific game of Scottie Barnes with my 4th pick. I'm going the game against the Cavs a couple weeks ago. Scottie goes 28, 10, and 8 with a steal and 5 blocks against a mostly healthy Cavs team. I know they run a back-to-back, but also their best players did not play the night before in that back-to-back. I know it was 5 of 7. The Cavs people love to have excuses for their team getting waxed by the Toronto Raptors 3 times. It's really funny. But that, I think, to this point, to the extent the Raptors have won, is probably their signature win. And I think Scottie was just unbelievable. That might be the single best game he's played, at least since like his rookie season. He was just unreal in a game for a team that's trying and has stakes and is like trying to be competitive and win as many games as possible. For him to do that, for him to totally, just absolutely smash Evan Mobley in that game in the one-on-one matchup. Really that game stands out to me as just like the epitome of Scottie Barnes' two-way impact, which you picked on the whole. I'm just going that specific Cavs game as my pick here as my 4th selection. That was a real treat to watch. And it was, I'm struggling to find in my memory bank a game where he was more impressive in a two-way sense, all-encompassing 94 feet. Zulfi, what you got for your 5th and final pick here in our draft of the best things from the first month of Raptors hoops?
Yeah, I think my last one, and I wanted to make sure it was a fun one. It's the post-game Raptors. Just after games, after wins, because again, there's a lot more wins. Just the fun and positive trends we've seen. Excuse me. Like you were seeing the post-game celebration pictures where you're seeing the entire team mean mugging together. Grady Dick really wants to show off his tricep workouts, and he's really flexing them after every game. They've got the lighting right and everything too. You can really get that shadow on that tricep and see the depth. But also Darko Rajakovic, after the first win of the season, when he just went in and basically European dad rushed everyone and yelled at them. And then now we are also seeing like him with the post-game chain and how much fun they're having with it. Like he ran up to Brandon Ingram after that great game recently and just gave him the chain because they're like, you deserve it, which we all thought anyways. But yeah, look, when vibes are good, winning solves all pretty much. And it's nice to see the Raptors having fun after a couple of seasons where, like you said, they took their lumps, they ate their vegetables, and now you're getting to see the fun stuff with it. Like the championship season was awesome. There's so much fun of it, but so many people look at the year after as those Raptors being like the darlings. They were the our favorite child type of thing, right? Because they had so many of these little fun moments. The Serge Ibaka with the scarf and OG Anunoby and whatnot, and like all those little fun moments that they had come from it. So I think
Slam
this team
interview, like one of the last good things to happen pre-pandemic.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think this team is just emblematic of a lot of that, where the vibes are high, the guys are playing for one another, and then getting to see them enjoy it, I think has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I had Grady's flexing gag as one of my things. You've selected that here with the full post-game joy selection. At some point, like, are they going to have someone on the Raptors social media staff who's just a designated like Grady Dick airbrush guy in those pictures, just like really touching up them triceps? Are they going to like expand? Like, I want to see the gag continue throughout the season to at one point at the end of the year, he's just like his arms are bigger than his head, and but it's just a very subtle growth throughout the year.
Yeah, I want to see if he eventually gets drug tested for that. Like I think a couple years ago, somebody like photoshopped a picture of Alex Caruso in the summer because he had been getting jacked, but they made him look even bigger. And I think he actually did get questioned by the NBA, like what's going on. But yeah, if Grady Dick does, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, in-season muscle watch is not something we get very often. And I mean, considering where he was last year, where basically over the course of the season, his body withered away because he was so tired all the time. It's wonderful to see this in reverse. It's like just feel yourself, bro. It's a nice glow up for the Grady Dick arm workout regimen. My final pick is going to be. This is very specific, but I do think this was kind of the first time of the season where I thought, oh, there's something cooking here. It was the fourth quarter of the second game against the Atlanta Hawks, their NBA Cup matchup, where that game was just so tight and well played by both teams defensively. The Hawks without Trae Young, long, nasty, in your face. And the Raptors just probed and probed and probed until the dam broke, and they just ran away with it down the stretch. That was the very first stretch where the starting lineup looked fantastic together. They closed that game out beautifully, went on a strong run to close it. And since then, they've just been kind of padding them stats. But that fourth quarter against the Hawks, like, again, they don't have a lot of like signature wins. They don't have a lot of games where you can say, hey, that was like a real feather in the cap victory because the schedule just hasn't broken that way. I think that Hawks game, along with the smacking of the Bucks in their second game against them, and then that Cavs game a couple weeks ago, and even the Cavs game this week, I thought was impressive too. But they were also, more hurt and all of that. No Garland, no Allen. Still, I think that Hawks game stands as one of the best wins of the season, and one of those sort of, as you watch them play all these miserable teams and wonder how real is this, you go and look at them play that Hawks defense and totally pick them apart when it mattered most. And that's like, okay, yeah, no, there's some reassurance that this is not some smoke and mirrors thing that's going to go away once the schedule gets more difficult, even though they'll surely lose more games, one would think, at some point, maybe. Or maybe they'll just never lose again and win 74 games. That's going to be the Thunder. Anyway, Zulfi, what a thrill to have you, my brother. It's great to have you on. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
Yeah, it's the same stuff. I'd always appreciate just following my work along at Raptors Republic or at Sportsnet. I'm on X and all the other social medias at Zulfi_Sheikh. But yeah, Sean, it's always fun to hop on, and it's fun to be talking about good Raptors and them being a competitive team. It's been a while, but I think we've all earned it, so let's enjoy it.
Brother, I cannot tell you enough how exciting it is to be talking about not conveying versus not conveying, or draft guys at 7th overall that I have to talk myself into. This is so much better. And I think the pod is very much better off for it because, I'm not sad all the time. I'm happy. I'm thrilled. We're talking about hoops. We're doing X's and O's stuff and data that matters. It's great. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back again on Thursday with Katie Heindels. We'll talk about Raptors Pacers, the final game in the round robin of the NBA Cup. We'll talk about that. And we'll also on Friday, Joe Wolfon's going to be by for his bi-weekly pit stop. And we're going to dive deep into the Raptors defense, which has been very good, kind of surprisingly, and is just seemingly only on the up and up over the last couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that and try to get to the bottom of why they just stopped teams so darn well we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Follow the show wherever you get your pods on YouTube, on podcast apps, etc. You can follow us on socials. Blue Sky, Instagram are the main ones. You can join the Discord. Link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join, as always. We'll talk to you again Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye. Oh.